Okay, in this whiteboard drawing, I'm going to quickly explain the process of define activities according to the 6th edition of the PMBOK and explain its inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. So first, obviously, the inputs. We're going to start there. Well, if we're going to define anything that we need to do for the project, we should probably know what is it that we need to do. And so there's lots of plans, and so I'm going to actually draw a large file drawer because if you think about it, there is more than just one plan that we need to deal with. Obviously, one being the schedule management plan, but there could be plenty of others that we need to also reference in terms of what we need to schedule or define in our activities. Now, these defined activities mostly are going to come from like your work breakdown structure and maybe your scope statement and some other areas in which you've defined the scope and the efforts that need to be done and performed. Now, from there, that's going to be the primary inputs, but you've also have a lot to deal with your culture and your way of doing things around in your organization. So I'm going to draw buildings, and just meaning this is your culture and the way that you do things within your organization. So that's your enterprise environmental factors, or I'm just going to abbreviate as EEF. Okay, also you may have templates, you may have designs, you might have software, you might have other policies that your PMO might have, or just your organization, and I'm just going to kind of group all those together as an OPA, and those are your organizational process assets, and they could be many. All right, simple enough. Those are your inputs. Now from there, we have our tools and techniques. Tools and techniques, well, how do you break down that work even further into scheduled activities? Well, that sometimes comes with expertise. So you might have people who have done it before and they're experts at it, or know the best ways in which to perform it. And so they have expertise that you can tap into or use. Maybe there's experts within the organization or outside the organization where you have to borrow and use their consultants, etc. So that is it. But the main thing is that if this is my work breakdown structure, and I'm kind of giving you here some work packages just to simplify it, and if I want to actually take this work package and define it into the activities, well, what I'm going to do is decompose. I'm not actually dying and rotting, but I mean, like, you're breaking it down even further. So you are taking this and decompose, or decomposition, however you want to use the term, but you're breaking it down further. So now these are your activities. Also then you have a few other techniques that you can use. One is that, well, sometimes you don't know exactly what this is going to entail, and you can't just break down all of it at this one point. So as the project is moving forward and you're gaining some ground, you're gaining some understanding, now you can go about breaking some more. So what happens is that this becomes like a wave, and it rolls, so it's called a rolling wave, and that's one of the other techniques. And it's really just a sense of progressive elaboration. The more you move forward into your project, the more that you should know. And so because you know more, you should be able to break down more and define more, or at least get more clarity beyond just a vague understanding of what it is that you are defining for the activity of the work. Because now that you've performed more work or you've done some more research, you now know exactly what it needs to take. And then a lot of that happens too in the conversations, the meetings, the teleconference, whatever it might be using. But in any case, you have these meetings that are going to help explain things and keep updates and define and discuss and brainstorm, whatever it might be, to help you break down and define that activity even further so you can schedule it. Those are various techniques and tools to use. Now let's go to the output. Obviously, if we have these activities, we should have these activities, and we put these activities on some sort of list, and that easily then is called your activity list. That's your primary output. That is a project document that you're just going to be able to use. But you should also list out maybe some of the attributes about what is it about this, what do you know, how long, what is it going to need, and define it a little further. Then you might have a few activities that have to happen along the timeline at certain major parts, and we call those milestones. So you're going to have the list of these. So guess what that's called? A milestone list. And then you sometimes might go through this and find out, you know what? Things have got to change. This is not going to work. And then you can then put some change requests. And sometimes those change requests are going to change your plans, or even just that the fact that you have these defined activities are going to reflect in the various different project management plans that exist within your projects. So you are going to have updates to your project management plans. So project management plans. And so that's a quick look at the inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs to review how we've gone through in this particular course on this process of defining activities.